Thank you. Good morning, Rhonda. Thank you for having me here, and good morning to everybody who's listening to this. Imagine yourself reaching up high, high through your crown chakra at the top of your head, and higher still, reaching into the light of the universe. You're standing in a column of light coming down towards you, filling you through your crown chakra, filling your body, running down your spine, filling all organs, just wrapping you into this bright, sparkling universal light. Slowly, you're being filled with this light energy, growing more and more intense and radiating and shimmering. And your energy vibration becomes finer and finer, filling with that light. It becomes like gossamer silk just spreading out. Then focus on your heart chakra and open it wide as you can open it. And then pull that universal light down and run it through your heart chakra out into the world. Spread that light further out so that you would send light energy out for healing, for connecting. Begin to sense other light beings around you around your higher self. And then gently focus on an area that you want to send energy to, whether it's a small group, whether it's a person you want to send healing to, whether there's a spot that you're troubled with that you would like light to enter in. And then sense those souls that are working on a similar area and who are also sending out high vibrating, shimmering light into that area. Envision them as a network of souls, a grid, and you step forward into that grid, linking your energies with the energies of all these other high soul beings. And together you begin to create light energy that spreads out farther and farther through your heart chakra, through their heart chakras, into the world, wrapping itself around your chosen area of darkness in the world, and slowly suffusing it with your supporting, bright, vibrant light energy. Just imagine that for a moment. And when you're comfortable connecting with those other souls and sending that light energy, and you want to slowly pull back from that light circle, then thank all the other light beings for their service, just as they thank you for your service, because you are serving the world. Gently gather your energy back into your body, close down your heart center to a normal size that is important, and feel your breath flowing in and out of your body. And when you feel ready, centered in your body, come back and gently open your eyes. Welcome back. Love and light to you. This is the work we do. Obviously, when you do it at home by yourself, you take a longer time period to really hold that energy, but you always step into that circle and be supported and support others, so you all work together. And that is the beauty of being a light worker.
You got this. When we start looking at our energy and what we're doing, first, let me back up a little bit. Let me share a story with you. First, my name is Rhonda, and I have been running the show for 6 years. And I started thinking about, what am I going to be doing when we start talking about deep inside at the cell level? There's been so many conversations now that are starting to become more mainstream, and that if we calm the body, that there is massive, powerful things that we can do for ourselves and our healing when we start bringing the space of wanting more information about how we can calm down to the nerves, down to the nervous system, and how that starts healing at the cell level, and we can start breaking away those patterns or misfired patterns in our body. We get to create this special space. If we can heal our body, then where does that take us? So all of the things that we've been seeing in the past few years, what are some of the things that you would like to ask for yourself? Ask of yourself. Ask of this world. What would be the things that you would say, I really am ready for that change? And I want you to bring that in. The more that you start checking in that way, the more that you can be in truth with the tools that we're going to build today. Make sure that you have your pen and you have a paper to write on, and that you are speaking to your truth. Like everything that we're talking about today is about, you got this, the impact that you want in this world. That means using your vocals. You know, the impact every time you go to the store, every time, if you're a speaker, you're out there and you're speaking, every time you're running, you know, a project or you're running a business, what's the impact? We're going to be speaking about anger. And I know there's so much anger out there, but how can we say, oh, stop being angry? But we start seeing anger as a way to create a calm atmosphere. So we're going to go in there. We're going to go in there about 8:30. One also, if you were in Be Connected, you saw that I posted a video, actually even in Facebook, I did this too. And it's about dancing, and dancing being one of your daily goals. And it could be dancing, your cells dancing and loving on you. Or it can be that you're actually physically dancing. You're getting out there and you're doing your dance and you feel that flow. And we're going to be talking about that at 8:45, 11:45 Eastern time. So adjusting where you're at. And then we're going into breathing in, which is more of that leaning in. The more that we lean in, breathe, and feel it, the more that we can say, here, wait, I can feel that special energy coming from the heart. That's when we know, yes, I got this. Anybody want to answer anything to yourself of like what your question is and what the answer is? The question is, what kind of changes or updates do you want in this world, or that you're asking for from yourself? Claim it. Claim it in your journal, claim it in your paper, or you're claiming it. Give me some type. Tell me what you feel is your biggest thing that you want to do in this change in this world. Let's take it on. Every step that we do, it brings the frequency up to help the energy in our house, the energy in our office, the energy in our relationships. So claim it. This is where you get to be big, bad ass and get to really be bold in everything that you want to do, because that's why we're here. We're not here just to be living and doing our task list. Come on. How boring would life be if that's just what it's about? You know, just these little sizzles of things. But what if we stepped all in? How would your life look if you stepped all in? We're going right into the impact component right now. Impact. Where do you want to step in? First off, I know there's going to be a delta here where you're going to say, I want that to happen, or I see somebody doing something that I really want to be part of. And you can start seeing that there's these bigger components that you want to get to something. And it may be a big project, but what if we start talking about the impact that you want is so big that you feel like you would need a quantum leap? Well, if you did a quantum leap, do you believe in that? Bring some truth and trust in that. That's the question. I would love to hear from you. I am your host, and anything that you add in, I get to speak to and be able to help that energy flow through. So I'm just checking and seeing if there's anybody that wants to add anything in, because I am here. All right, we got some quiet people out there, but I do see we have an audience. This is incredible. Your impact. First thing, let me give you a step here. You want to start looking at the food that you're eating. Well, we want that food to feel sexy. And my thing, when I start talking about this, these are strategies. We're not talking sex. We're talking that you feel it down to the cell level. You can taste it to the point that you yearn for it. When you put your hand on your heart, if I had the vitality and every day I was adding energy to the bank, where would this take me? Breathe that in. Now, once you start going in this area, you can start, and this may be new, so you may not feel this right away, but you can feel this, the cell level. Sometimes I'll wake up and I can feel my cells dancing, and it's because I've trained my body almost like I want to feel every cell in my body. So what if we bring that in? What if we say everything that we put on our plate is expressing some energy or something to us, because it translates in communication every time you're eating. It helps you with your impact. I'm going to get you there. What are your goals? Let's talk about that impact. But we need to come back to the food. So this plate is like, oh my gosh, look at these colors. Look at everything that I get to play with all the time, no matter what. And you really took the space of feeling like, got this, which is the opening ceremony that we just did. Thank you, Sabina, so much for being able to be there for us. And I'm going to take a moment because we're right in the middle of this impact, but take a breath into what we were talking about. And I want you to click on where it says click to get your free energy flow from Sabina. Click it if you want to get in there. And I will also, in our stuff, I will put a link to be able to get that. But once you grab that, I'm going to take it off the screen and I'll show it later again. But Sabina has a free handout. It's a book and it's wonderful. It really shares. Okay. It really shares how you can bring your frequency, your energy up. And she is an energy spirit dancer. She's incredible. And why I bring Sabina up right now is because when we start feeling that meditation and that flow, when we start looking at our food and we start making these statements to ourselves, there's something very precious that happens, that we can start opening our space and being able to see that you got this. You can have anything and everything that you want. And let's keep bringing in the quantum leap. Let's work with that strategy right now about the quantum leap. Is that when you have food on your plate that gives you energy, that opens up your mind, that opens up your body and creates this energy. You see how we're starting to create this excitement, interest around food, that it's not just about the palate and what you are serving to yourself on that plate, that my taste buds need it. All of a sudden you start looking at food as strategy. The meditation that we had early, or you're looking at the strategy. What are some of the things that you like to do that bring in the space that help you really truly believe that you got this night? And this is a question that you want to ask yourself every day so that you can really find your way through this journey. There's a lot of pain out there. I feel so much pain sometimes because we're being in truth. Before, I used to want to hide from it and I'd pretend like nothing's wrong. Everything's perfect. And it'd be like, oh, so-and-so, is that I care about is having a hard day. Oh, I'm okay. It's not going to bother me. And then when I get into truth, I start realizing, hey, that person over there in my camp, they're having a hard time. I feel that. I feel empathy. And I want to go and connect with them. In my past, I would say, well, they'll figure it out, or like, time to move on. Yeah, that's okay if it doesn't hurt your body and you're going down the road of somebody's in trouble. Now I need to be sad for them. Does that make sense? That I need to be sad for them, that you start recognizing that somebody in your camp is having a hard time, but you're there to be able to have an impact in this world. Well, your impact in this world is to make sure that you give love out there. So your heart, because this is where you're going to quantum leap, because we're going to get into the anger component in about 6 minutes. But let's stay with the impact. Follow me on this journey. So we know that somebody in our camp is having a hard time, and we want to create a space of a loving space for others and for ourselves. So instead of going down the route of being, oh, I'm so upset. I'm so upset because so and so in my camp right now, it could be family, is struggling. I want to change that for them. And so I'm going to feel sad for them. I'm going to carry that for them. And all of a sudden you're carrying their energy and you are being demised the whole time. Instead of coming here to your heart for you, first step, telling yourself, I love you. Feel that in your heart. And that'll take care of you. Your body, it's very good to talk to your body. And you go, here, wait, this person in my camp is feeling sad today. So then you can send something to them, lots of love. I send you love. And from there, you can make your next steps and your next steps. You can call them and say, hey, I was thinking about you. And instead of that conversation being, oh, I feel that. I feel, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. And you start carrying on that pain for them. You start serving them in a new way. You start saying, hey, I got your back. Hey, anytime that you need something, think about me. I will be there for you. And this person that's having an issue, they get to decide on how they want to show up. Do they really want you to carry their pain? Well, if they really knew about it, because they're like, oh yeah, you had my back before. You were sad. Now you're just saying, that you have my back, call me anytime. But you sound nice. But before you were like, oh, how dare that happen? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Oh, and you used to do that kind of stuff. Why now are you just saying, hey, I hear you. You're coming in at a different way. When you do that, see how the two different ways are? One is you're wrapped into what they're going through and their story, and you're dropping both of you. And now it's affecting what you're eating. It's affecting the sexiness that you feel, that energy that you feel. It affects everything. If you take the other route where you're like talking to yourself, doing your morning work, saying, hey, I'm here for you. Here, wait, I want to reach out to this person because they're having a really hard time. And when they go in and they tell their stories, that you're like, oh, I hear you. Yes. And that's it. I will be there for you. And you see how they're supported in a way that you don't bring them down the rabbit hole, but you really hold the space for them. And you start feeling something new, because as soon as you get off that phone call or you're seeing them in person, that you don't feel this pain, this ache and pain. When I was growing up, I remember that I would take on everybody's pain. And oh, it just felt yucky. But I didn't know that. I just knew that I was in this space of thinking, well, if I go in with somebody's information that they're giving me, their story, where they're stuck, that I'm going to go, oh, yeah, and you leave that person after, and you feel like almost like you're crippled, and it affects your day. I did that. I carried that on. When I was 19, I had a boyfriend that brought that to light. So all my life, I was just doing this because that's what I did. And people appreciated that I was carrying their pain. So like, oh, I feel better when Rhonda's around, and stuff like that. And I have a very positive personality, but there were times where I'd be so negative, and I didn't realize that negativity was me not being able to move forward and make the impact that I want to in life. But it was holding me back for feeling good about myself, because these 60 to 70,000 words that we say every day to ourselves, we're known to say, 80% of that is known to be negative. So if I'm listening to somebody saying this stuff and I'm going in their story and I'm carrying their stuff, that they think that, oh, that's good that my friend is doing that for me, then my brain is just in cycles, that 80% negativity, and 80% of that, 90% has been regurgitated over and over every day. And if you keep thinking about the same stuff, if you keep thinking even a new event that happens and it's more than 90 seconds, it builds a synapses, and when an event happens, it fires off, and then all of a sudden we lose our creativity. How can we do our impact? In some ways, if this is the first time you've heard this, I can see it may feel like this is a cold way to speak. Like, how come I can't show up and be in somebody's story and say, oh, and so did this and so did that? Why is that not okay for me to do that? So this may be a new conversation for you. But I'll tell you what, the newer conversation really, you know what it is what impact do you want to do? What impact in this world do you want to do? Because if you think of it that way, you want to clear your mind, open your heart so you're bold and strong, but consistently. Something sweet about that, so that you can make your impact. So right now we're getting ready to transition into that anger component. I'm going to finish that story about when I was 19 and my friend finally came to me and said, what is wrong? And then where that took me. So I'm going to go back into that story in just a moment. But before we leave the platform about the impact, take a breath in. What impact do you want to do in this world? Make a statement right now. For me, I call it hashtag speaker locking arms. Let's stop the shaming. Let's stop the blaming. Let's bring it in so that we can feel pure and heal our body so that we're there for our impact. What is yours? What kind of impact do you want to do? What's the thing that you're going to do next time that you are faced with how you're going to approach in a conversation with somebody? Are you going to go down that rabbit hole with them and think that you're supporting them and you carrying the muck because you went down there deep and you really, truthfully, you really weren't there for them, because they're not going to be able to feel any better if you go down that route. But they get a choice. They get a choice. They take that on themselves and go to this other route. Where they go, here, wait, I want to make this impact. Anybody else say, yes, you're ready for that new impact. You're ready for it. What kind of impact do you want to do? Do you want to show up in a way where you just go, I got your back, I'm here for you, I'm here, and you're talking to your body too, and your impact gets bigger and bolder and crazy cool. I'm noticing that hashtag speaker locking arms, we have about 90,000 people seeking what hashtag is, and they're starting to use it, speaker locking arms, especially in TikTok. I've noticed that. I love this. This is so cool. Okay, so where we're going to go from here is we're now into the anger part. Now, if you've been living all your life with really speaking about the way you want to go. Do I go with somebody and I go and I tether in with myself, just go down that rabbit hole, and I just forget about all this stuff about clearing my vessel, my body, and being able to really make my impact? Because I'm going to tell you right now, this is about mindset transformation, and we're entertaining this whole thought. This is my trademark, mindset transformation entertainment. Now, if you keep doing that, going down the rabbit hole, then that's your choice. That's where we can get sick, and we can dive into breaking down our immune system, because stress is known to tear up those cells. And no matter what you eat or what you do through that food, you may look on the exterior feeling pretty good, but deep inside, we got to learn to let it go. And I learned this when I lost my friend last year with cancer. And this is where the anger comes in. I lost my friend. So how do I deal with that? We want to learn best we can to let things go. And you may say, well, why does Rhonda have any oomph in this area? Why is it important for me to even listen to you? Because I see we have an audience here. Is I want you to think about when this is deep, because we're in the component of anger, and anger can look like we're yelling because it's unprocessed emotion. But let's say we're good about processing the emotion like logically in our brain. So now we've just kind of frozen ourselves, and the anger really is there deep. It's like in the liver and the gallbladder. It's in the heart. We have chronic disease in our family that's heart. Well, how do I get my flow going if I'm really not stepping into like this pure truth, the pure latest research, the holistic stuff you can feel in your body? Anybody want to claim anything right now? I'd love to hear some comments. So if you can't feel your anger, you can't feel your anger because it's like it's kind of processed a little bit, or you've just stepped so far away from it. You made this choice at one point not to deal with the anger. You're just like, oh, I'm just going to be a good kid. And if I show anger, then it turns people off, and I just want to be the best kid I can be so I can get some love. And all of a sudden that anger gets stuck down deep. But if somebody crosses me wrong, and that anger will just come out. It'll be crazy coming out. So this anger, it has to get processed out somewhere, right? So let's go back to this story. And then in the next part, let's go back to your food. And let's go dive in deeper with the food. So this is the next layer we're going into. As a health coach, been in the health industry for 20 years. That's maybe one of the reasons why I'm hoping that you're just taking these notes and saying, yes, Rhonda's got my back. But also, I've been thinking about food since I was 4 years old. And that comes to another story, which I may talk about when we start talking about dancing in about 15 minutes. I've been in the mindset coaching industry for 10 plus years, almost 15 years. And it's like a masterclass to help somebody uncork, feel safe, and open up. That's a big deal. The stuff that I'm sharing are things that have to do with what I've seen happens to help people get open and relieve the stress. So that's the approach I'm going at right now. So, anger. Going back to my story. So I was 19, had this great boyfriend, my first love. It was really cool. And he saw that I was under deep stress. And he said, Rhonda, what's wrong? Is everything okay? I'm like, you're like really, really, really stressed. Like he was like scared, and I didn't know how I was showing up. And I said, oh, this is happening. And he said, well, that's not you. Like, you're talking about somebody else. What's going on with you? I'm like, well, this person is having this and this and this happen. Oh my gosh. And like, it was like doomsday. I didn't realize that I was showing up like this, but he called it out. It was lovely. I didn't take that road at that time. And I didn't fully understand that the way I was showing up was something I really didn't have to do. I didn't have to take on somebody else's pain. But at 19, I didn't know that because that's what I did all my life. And I would say that since I started the coaching business, I started becoming more and more aware because I was living with it all the time. I didn't know I was showing up like that. And he said, Rhonda, this is not your issue. This is like, it's ruining your whole night, and you're showing up in a different way than I've ever seen you show up. Like, and it really concerned him. And I was so turned off because I was like, how dare him tell me that I can't show up that way, because this person's having a problem and I am not, and he said, he just doesn't understand me. He just doesn't understand me. Oh, he just doesn't understand me. Have you ever had that happen? Where you just feel like, oh, so-and-so just doesn't understand me. But sometimes through God or through the universe, depending on what you tap into, there's a messenger trying to tell you that there's something going on here. I totally ignored it. We've probably had these happen all through our life. But to process that anger that sat in there, you took that on, everything that you've taken on, all those imprints, isn't it time to really let it go so that you can create the atmosphere, so you can get in truth? Yes, I'm carrying anger. And I have clients that right away say, I have anger issues and I don't know what to do. I've been reading and I still don't know what to do because I don't know why I have this anger. Well, what if I said anger is a way to create calm atmosphere? But you got to process it, because the anger becomes a beautiful flower. And that beautiful flower is the gem of all the seeds you put in there with all that anger, because you needed that anger to learn about stuff that was stopping you to evolve. So now when you start loving on your anger, you go, yes, my anger. Again, you got this. You have to feel safe about this, though. I was just with the client early this morning, and we were talking about how to open up and create a safe space for you. So right now, for a moment, I'm going to give you like a walking meditation. We have about 4 minutes, and I want to help you listen to your body so we can process and listen to maybe some of the messengers that have been there for you. And they may not have even known they're a messenger. I feel like my hubby is such a messenger. And he really gives me a lot of reflection. And I can either decide to fight with him because how dare him say that? Or I can say, here, wait, it's okay if I have quote unquote shortcomings, because we always get to step in and make those changes. But we got to decide if we're on this journey to keep growing and healing. And I know with the audience here that you are looking and seeking, how can I make that change? Because this is the safety. This is actually the safety that anybody can call you out, anything and everything that you do. And you lean in and you start processing your anger by letting it release and go, here, wait, and becomes this high energy. Because what are we talking about here? Energy is the new sexy. That's the theme of what we're talking about. So you lean in and you go, here, wait, I do that? When? Or you know that you do. You're like, here, right, somebody's calling me out on that. I thought I was hiding it. The safety is that you're on this path of newness, that you are all in. You're ready to make that change. You don't know how to do it, but let's open up that intuition, which means things that you hear, ideas that you have, downloads that you lean in a little bit more. And as we open up this path, we start seeing something new. And it's all the gems, all the stuff that we can see that we've been angered about. And it's dull when you first start walking on the path. But what if we start working with our abundance factor? We start feeling something new. We start feeling something new. We're tired of this dull space. We're tired of this dead energy. So just acknowledging that, the path that you're on right now, you see a glimpse more of light. More of light. So bring that in on your path right now. But we want to open more. We want to process more of this anger that's sitting on the trees, that's sitting on the ground, that's sitting on the path as we're walking, because it's not as bright and vibrant as we want it. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm tired of carrying this anger. I can feel it here. You can feel it in the thalamus. I want to open that up. So you start walking. You can feel that process, because your workouts are very, very important. Your workouts are going to give you that space of movement, the cells, the lymphatic system moving, the energy for the heart. So the heart opens up. The brain gets more cohesive with the heart. When you start working the feet really start shaking up and opening up the brain, because you're moving forward. Your hips, which I was talking about with my client, your hips start relaxing and moving forward. Your chest moving forward. And as you move forward, your path becomes more bright. You can start seeing that you're outside, or you get to create any path that you want. And all of a sudden things, ting, start becoming brighter. Ting, on your path. Ting, up to the sky or your ceiling, depending on where you are. It opens up. And now you're on this path. Boom, 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 boom. And you're moving forward. You're taking a breath in. Now we're starting to go into dancing as a daily goal. This is where we come in and we start moving that energy. And on your path, you're starting to see the vibrant colors. What are those colors that you see? From the sky to the ceiling, to around you, to the magic that you are walking in on. And your heart is cohesively on this path, releasing and clearing your chakra system down to the toes, all the way up to the head. And if you don't know what the chakra system is, it's okay. It's about body flow. Let's open it up. You start feeling more openness, more safe space. Something about creativity starts happening. And now we're in the dance part, and you start dancing, and it's your cells inside. Like what I said, when I wake up in the morning, if I wake up and I've set the preference of like, I'm going to wake up and I am going to feel the million cells that we receive every day. Like I can feel them moving and receiving and saying, good morning, hello, because our body speaks to ourselves, speaks to us. You say, I love you. Thank you. And your body starts purring in a way where it can feel as if it's receiving the hello, 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 I love you. Now you're cohesive with your thought pattern. We're really working with those negative thought patterns that we have now, and we're opening it up so that we can truly dance. Who wants to truly dance here? I mean, we're talking physically dancing. And you start feeling that and that flow, and all your back loosens up. And you go, oh, yes. And you got it. And then you start feeling the patterns in your body flow more. You got a full flowing system, and you're starting to open it up. So those stories with my friend when I was 19, and he started questioning those things, I'm bringing that conversation to myself, and I see it on this path. This path starts opening up with all these different pieces of energy. My path looks energetically pleasing. I can feel my feet on the ground. I can hear Mother Earth talking to me. I can look around, and all of a sudden I see purple, red. I can see the sky. Oh my gosh. The sunset last night was incredible. And I can see all of that. All of that. So you keep going. You keep going. And this gives you more energy. This increases your vitality. But first, the energy starts flowing into the energy bank. This is how we're going to bring that energy in and heal our body. So from the very top, we brought that meditation in from Sabine. Then we start talking about the white plate and all the food. And you can see that the food is all around, hanging on the trees and the path that we are on for the adventure, for the dance. All that wonderful food, wholesome food, is going to heal, and our body's going to learn to receive it, because now we are in an abundance love space. We're like, yeah. So the very top, we were talking about the impact that you want. What impact do you want? Let's bring that in. Oh, this is powerful. Make your statement. What do I want to bring in? And we talked about the anger, but we're releasing that anger by being able to see the colors and release and open up those conversations that we've had, that you are no longer going to let somebody, and this is your choice, by the way. If you're not ready for it, and I'm saying I'm just the messenger today. But you are saying, I am not going to allow somebody to take me down that rabbit hole. I am not going to play and toy with their stories. But I'm going to let them go through their journey, and so they know that I got their back. Now you get to show up in the way you want to show up, but you don't fall down the rabbit hole with them, and they get stuck in that energy with you, and you get stuck in their energy, because having two people that are stuck in that energy, oh, this is just not powerful. It's the opposite of that. But when you come in and you feel that energy, and you're 100% in that, I am into knowing what my impact is, I'm going to stay focused. So you release that anger the best you can right now. But this will be on replay. We're going to be putting little special edits out there too, so little snippets of stuff from the show. But I want you to speak out and learn about how to process your energy, how to process it, so that you feel you're protected. Because you may be so used to protecting your heart and your body, but actually you're cutting yourself off, which is the opposite of protecting. But we're learning to be more open. The more that we can be dancing and in our heart, the more that people will receive something special from us. We get to do a bigger impact. We get to dance daily, and that dance becomes a partnership now. So now we've left the story about my friend and getting me very aware that I was doing something that later on I had to revisit that story, because I'm like, oh yeah, at 19, maybe even before that, I could have stepped into it, but I wasn't ready. It's like, how dare you talk to me that way? Like, how dare you tell me that I can't carry somebody else's stuff? So let's leave that conversation and let's go into the dancing part. If we keep showing up for ourselves What would that look like? What's that look like for you? Is that where you go in and you take care of your body at the highest level that you can? And the people that you're with, you really choose those people that help you dance in life, that your mind doesn't get dropped and slammed and stressed out and thinking and lost in those 80% negativity, but you say, hey, I have a choice to choose my atmosphere. And there may be something in there like, well, how dare you think that you can just like walk away from somebody because they're so into their head and toxic and having a hard time. Like, you should be there for them. You shouldn't walk away. You should make sure that you're there, even if they pull you down and they make you feel sick when you're with them. You need to do that because it's that is why you're here on earth, is to take care of them, because you've done it all your life. Great. My dancing and enjoying life and finding purpose. Remember, we talked about your purpose. Am I supposed to be sitting in the space of this person because that's what I'm supposed to be doing? Or do I really love on that person and I get to enjoy them in increments and build those walls so that they know that they're in a safe space also, that they get to be away from their troubles, because we're going to be talking about things that maybe are troubling them. But I'm not expected to go down that rabbit hole with them, but I'm speaking a new language with them. And if I do it that way, then I get to create these beautiful walls of my mission in life. And everybody that's around, they get to have their own power and mission in life, and nobody gets pulled down by the negative or toxic atmosphere, because I'm supposed to be taking care of them, because that's what I'm here on earth for. That's why we want a higher purpose. This is why we get sick. Physically, if you're automatically getting sick when you're with somebody, that's the first indicator that I'm tapped out. I can't do this. And people around you'll say, how dare you do that? No, that's not okay. You're here on earth to take care of these people. And if you don't, then you are not doing what you're expected to be doing in life. This is a whole big conversation. You see where this is going, but you see in life how you've been cutting yourself off from energy, and how maybe you might have some chronic disease. I know for me, thyroid medicine, hypothyroid medicine, I was on for 20 years. Stifled my vocals because I was shoving down that anger, that carrying all this anger that people around me were carrying, because I am supposed to be taking care of everybody. Because somewhere in my life, as a coach, we are here to take care of people, but only the people that want that, that are our clients and they're asking for it, like, yes. What can happen around the people around you if you're not aware of what your purpose is? They'll leech on to what your purpose is, and they'll leech onto that, and you will feel obligated if you don't come along and dance in this journey. Like, really play with this. I mean, seriously, dance so you can move and feel what you are really working on feeling. Just taking a breather here for a moment. And I'm sorry if you are trying to leave a message. I did hear that it is difficult to add a comment if you're on the other social media besides Be Connected, that it's very difficult to add a comment, that you just get kicked out. So there's some kind of rules maybe that may be changing. So write in your journal, and you can send me an email at rhonda@rhondaliebig.com. You can see my name on the screen. Rhonda at rhondaliebig.com. Give me some information, what you're feeling, or send me a message. This is big stuff. If you can find yourself making these changes and finding the ways that you've been hurting on yourself because you haven't been aware of what you've been doing. And I hope that this space, with my almost 15 years of getting in there and really coaching and mindset and helping people move forward, to also being in the health industry and really bringing in the good food. And you'll recognize I haven't specifically said what food is sexy food, but anything that feels energetically good to you when you put it on a clean, clear plate, you just see it. This is how you start dancing in life. This is how you start showing up. And it feels vulnerable. You're like, I just want to live the way I used to live because that was so easy. I understood it. I'm asking you to step in and see it differently. Because if you already on this path, kind of starting to do this stuff, you'll notice that some of this actually means something to you. But you don't know what it is. Like this is, and you might. But if you don't, you may go, man, this feels interesting, but how do I do this? And I'll say, follow your intuition. Also, I want to make sure that you know, let's see. Let me add something here. And what I'm going to do, and I'll put the link up here also. Because if you're in Be Connected, you're able to link this. You can just click on it and go for it. But what I want to do is I'm stopping for a moment till I transition into breathe that in. That's where we're going to get some bigger meditation and different things going on to really finalize this. But I'm putting it out there. This is about putting your global vision together. Now, this means we are talking about your impact and where you want to go. I have a 4-video series. You will want to go in there to start visualizing what your words are so you can really break through and start listening to your intuition. This is about you dancing. This is about you releasing the anger. This is about you being on your path and watching it look beautiful. And we're still on this path. We can't finalize it until we get into the next step, which is breathing that in. Because our path is going to start creating something that's precious to you. Only to you. Because you are listening to you. Nobody else can tell you what your goals are, what you need, what you want. And sometimes we can't hear that. We're so far removed that we'll go to somebody and hopefully they help us with this. As a coach in this industry, around vitality and around that everything you touch is energy, this is really about you learning to answer for you. So if you have a coach right now that tells you exactly how you feel, exactly how you should do things, I want you to take another notch up from there. And know that you're missing that next step, which is about listening to your intuitively self. So we need to start opening up more of that spiritual journey. And now we're starting to transition into breathe that in, lean into it. Breathing it in. This is what this offer or thing that I'm giving you is about breathing this in. It's about learning your words so that you can speak authentically from your heart what your purpose is. If you own a business, I'm calling this your global vision. If you are in this, in life, and you're figuring this out, this is where you get to start speaking why you are here on earth. You will want to take this link and click. You will want to. It's going to mean something to you. This is the way that we get to start using words and start feeling things, feeling the intention of what we really, truly want. Breathe that in. Let's start transitioning into breathing it in and looking at our path. Let's start doing that. So as we're coming in, you're looking at your path and you're looking at the beauty of what you've been able to open at this point. And this beauty that you see is because you have, been able to see this beauty. You see a tree, you see a ground, you see the ocean, you see this. But I want you to take it to the abundance level, the heart level, the level that you feel like you're really speaking your truth. Like, we're going to get this, not just what you've been seeing on earth, but we're going to get so you feel like you're in love with it. And everything's going to look even more powerful when you get to see the sunrise and the sunset, that you can't miss it, because there's something about the beginning and ending of the day, you walking in to stepping out and then taking a sleep and then starting the day over, and that you don't numb yourself as big as you have before. When you start feeling that, that's when you know you are in your space of impact, that you are a visionary for you and your family, and for if you have a business or you're leading something, you have a project, and you're like, I need to be in this. Take a breath in. Bring all the gems that you have, that you're aware of in this first hour of the show. We're almost done. We actually are almost done. And you can feel it in the cells of the body if you give yourself an opportunity to feel that. Yeah. Sometimes I'm having a horrific day and I'm just smiling, going, oh, this is painful. And this is not funny. This is not that I don't feel the pain and I lean in, and that I don't lean into it. Because the more we lean into what we're doing, the more we're aware we're not going to numb it, that we can actually feel it. Because if you feel that pain and don't keep bouncing off that pain to relive things over and over and over, we say, hey, brain, this is the time. And the heart says, hey, brain, I'm here for you. But you first want to go on that journey of learning to open your heart. This is the only way you can breathe in and imagine this beautiful path, not just looking like trees or the ocean or the ground looking a certain way or whatever, but you want to start hearing new things in a new way. When somebody says something, you don't turn your ears off and then all of a sudden you have a hearing condition. Because before I got on medicine, I was 29 when I got on medicine for thyroid. 20 years on the medicine, 7 years off now. But when I was around 17, 18. Oh no, that's about 23. Before I knew I was having all these conditions happening in my body, like I knew, like my timeline, my road map. I understood that because it was pretty close. Fourth grade, there was some big stuff that happened in my life. There was sixth grade, there was ninth grade. I just knew certain things that happened. So I was very close with those stories, but I didn't know how much it was affecting my hearing. So sometimes I would want to turn stuff off and people would say stuff and I could not hear them at all. I was in so much stress that I could feel chaos in my head, but I had no words for it because I was living in it. Anybody else, have you ever dealt with that? Your body is feeling so much pain from the stress that you've brought in that there's this chaos happening within your cells, chaos in the brain. It's just chaotic. That's a yes, then you keep moving forward here. If it's like, keep getting curious. So I was sitting down at a table and I had two friends that were talking and they were bantering and having fun because we were out enjoying, it was like, hey, we're having a great time. Well, I was walking in the doorway to meet up with them and I was not having a good day. And I don't think that I was having an issue that day. I think people in my camp were having issues. I was taking it on. And so my body was in chaos. I felt so heavy and I couldn't get away from it. So when I sat in front of my friends, they were laughing and having fun. And I was getting more and more angry. And I could see that I was getting angry and almost like jealous because they were having so much fun. But I didn't have words for it. I just knew that I was uncomfortable. All of a sudden, I realized that I couldn't hear anything they were saying at all. They were talking, but I could hear like bouncing off the walls. There was a lot of energy in the room, but I couldn't hear them at all. And I kept saying, what? What? And then I was seriously disconnected from them. Have you ever noticed that in your life where you just kind of disconnected from people and maybe some other things showing up, like maybe through your eyes, you can't see everything that's happening, even though it's right there in front of you? That's happened to me. Has that ever happened to you? Or in your ears, that you can't hear everything that's being said because somehow you got shut down. And even though maybe just right before that, maybe you didn't realize what you were carrying, that there was some traumatic thing going on in your brain and the stories that you were telling yourself. And maybe just one little incident just got me going. But I couldn't hear what they were saying. I felt very lonely, isolated, and most of my life, I felt that way. Have you ever felt that way? So what this is about is breathing into your path, acknowledging, let me get this off the screen right here. Acknowledging that everything is going to be okay. The more that we empower ourselves by telling ourselves that we love ourselves, by creating safety with our vocals, that we get to speak and share how much we love people, but we also share about our walls. Please don't speak like that. And sometimes you may come in at anger with somebody because you're just learning to speak about your walls. And it's okay how the other person feels, because I recognize when I'm sharing with some people that they get angry and they go, that person has an issue. Instead of recognizing gently that person is actually building walls and that they're trying to save the relationship and deciding that this relationship doesn't shift. And if you're not listening to me, this is not like, oh, that person's trying to fight with me, but they're more leaning in. If they're not, this is one of the relationships that you'll need to disconnect from, that you can't get that person into a space where it's a cohesive conversation. It feels lonely in this transition when you start acknowledging that, but you look at your path and the stuff that you are hoping, that I want things to look more vibrant. I'm so tired of fighting with life. I'm exhausted. And sometimes we may not come to that conclusion. We're just numb, and listening to the chaos in our head and not realizing we're listening to it. But this is where you get to go from a so-so life, or doing stuff, which my grandma would say, half-ass. You start recognizing that you've been holding yourself back. You haven't allowed yourself to open up and be like a Michael Jordan, Mother Teresa. I love Ed Milet. He's a motivational speaker, coach. But those people that you look up to that go, you say, oh, I can never be like that. Nope, never be like that, because they're superstars. People used to say a lot like Oprah Winfrey. Oh, you can't, don't do that because that's like Oprah. Only Oprah can do that. I've heard that many times also, especially running a business like this, where I've been running this show for 6 years and people start saying, well, you can't do this or that. That's like what Oprah did. Because 7 years ago, that was like at a high level when Oprah was very, very big. You get to do all of that to what's in your special sauce. So if you play basketball, once you start opening up that space, recognize that you get to play basketball in a new way. You'll work harder in a way that feels right. You'll be in tune. You'll have your story of why you're getting up early. You'll have a speaker business or business so that you create something of an impact that's bigger and bolder than you ever thought you could do. Ever do. We need you out there to be able to see your path of all the gems. Because if you start doing that, this is where you get to quantum leap. This is where you get to make that change. And if you make those changes that are so vulnerable and painful of a feeling that you think that those gems that are on the trees, that are on the ceiling or in the sky, that's on the path that you're walking, if you truly believe that's only for certain people, hogwash. So with this show right now, this is your opening. This is the way that you get to write down what's really, truly important to you. And when we walk out of this show, you're going to notice that your energy is going to shift a little bit. That you're going to have to get back into that energy of believing in yourself and yada, 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 yada. That's what it's going to feel like. Oh, yeah, that was just a moment. That's why when I get coached, I have to listen to it over and over again. So anybody that's in the coaching space with me, you will, after we do coaching, you'll want to listen to your coaching because you can hear it so many times and all of a sudden it makes sense. But you gotta be there. So when you start looking at your path, breathing it in and acknowledge the true impact that you want to do. Start looking off to the side. What's it look like on your horizon? What are you looking at? What are you breathing in? What's more magical in there than was out there before on your path? You can see the effervescent smell and the look. That's so different than when you first walked onto your path that we opened up. And if you're coming in later, it's okay. Just create that path for yourself. Breathe it in. The smells. What do you hear? So many times in my life, I've walked away from the hearing. What do you want to hear? What if you walked away from before? You're like, I'm ready to claim it. Ready to claim it. You're looking down at the ground. Now, all of a sudden, you can see more there. And you're walking, you can feel it. What do you want to feel that you haven't felt before? You can go barefoot, walk on Mother Earth, and you don't really notice what Mother Earth is doing for you. A story. We were in Italy, Venice, Italy, this year. We were very, very, very tired. We've been walking around. It's 100 plus degrees. It's in the afternoon. We decided to do stuff in the afternoon for that day. And it was hot and we were walking. And everybody was like, oh my gosh. And we were on vacation. Usually you just think, oh, it's vacation time. Everything is cool. Well, when you're actually happening with the vacation, you kind of get into your own, your own day or whatever. So we're walking and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I look around, we're all tired. I go, hey, let's go into the park. And in my mind, I just felt like this intuition. I need to be at the park. Anybody else have these intuitions that sometimes you step into or you just do it? So I took off my shoes because as we entered into this park, and all of a sudden, a little bit, I started feeling like things liquefying. I think of it as liquefying, but like this pull, and Mama Earth was taking care of me. All of a sudden, my cleansing ducts were all stuck and tired and hot and inflamed. And I was feeling wishy-washy and sluggish in my body. That's when my path started opening up more. And I could feel my chest lift up. And so I did a sun salutation. Ooh, did I feel good? Seal salutation, warrior 2. Warrior 1. Oh. Seal salutation, sun salutation. Warrior 2. Warrior 1. Oh, raising that energy from the sun. I came back here and then I did a downward dog. And my hands were placed on Mama Earth. It was the first time I ever did this, by the way, just this summer. I have a story about a tree just the other day, but we don't have time for that one. So I put my hands and my feet right on the ground. All of a sudden, the last part just left me of the stress. I came up. Wow. I was ready. It's like, oh my gosh, we're in Italy. Oh my gosh, still 100+ degree weather. That I was there. I was in it. I was all in. And I looked over and I saw my family. They were sitting on the bench. And I said, take your shoes off. Get onto Mother Earth. Get on the grass. Let's wake this up. So when you look at your path that you are on today, what are you feeling about these nuggets? What are you feeling? Because this is the way you get to make your impact. This is where you get to hashtag speaker locking arms. We get to stop the blaming and the shaming, which is part of what we're about, Fresh Talks Global Vision. But what are you about? What do you care about? What are the things that you were raised with? Like, it's like hogwash, no more. I'm ready to move on. None of this stuff is going to happen in my camp. I'm going to learn to build those walls. I'm going to protect the people. I think about my kids, the atmosphere I want, what I'm doing in the 4 walls. I have a 17 and a 19-year-old, and they're going to shift in January to be a year older. You know, like that number, earthly number. What can I do for them to make sure there's energy flow here, that there's love, there's conversation, there's anger, there's flow, there's all that stuff, and it's safe because they get to share what they're feeling. And we get to wash it away, and there's no shame, but there's more conversation. What's your impact you want to do? What's your vision that you see when you walk out and you want to see that sunrise and sunset of the effervescence of the charcoal clouds and the pink and the peach and the purple? And then the sun comes up. And the sun opens up the water. You can see this tunnel that opens up, not just a tunnel, but the sun opens up the world for the day. You can feel the water around you because the water and the flow of your body and the healing that your body receives. And you get to say, receive, receive. There's your path. Go out there and adventure in your life. The things that feel raw, lean in. That's the good stuff. Don't hide. Don't run away from it. Because the risks and being scared and feeling like maybe afraid to get off that path. How many times have you heard, stay on that path? That is your path. Like, I don't want to be just earthbound. I want to be spiritual in my journey. I want to feel freedom. I want to feel scared and understand what that scared factor is. I want to keep growing. I want to be 80 and be extremely more smarter than I am right now, because I keep doing research and I keep looking at people. I keep telling them that I love them. And the more that I do that, I dance in life. I work with my anger. I let it flow, because anger is about unprocessed energy. And I know that now. So now I know I don't have to keep reading and reading and reading about anger, but I know that if I keep processing, which means I live in life, which means I'm a love bug. I love on people more, and I can feel it. I can feel it. And all of a sudden, I get to hear, you got this. I get to hear that. You got this. Now all the people who passed away, top of the hour, I was talking about my best friend Anna passing away. Now I feel closer with her. Anna's in heaven. She's with her mama. She's with her hubby. We have so many people that are there for us on that transition. She's there, but I feel closer to her now, because I know she's speaking to me and saying, Rhonda, you got this. Rhonda, remember when we were working in your business and I was able to be physically here to help you in your marketing? The time we were young and going and playing in San Diego, to playing and driving all around California and cruising around. And I got to also help you in the marketing in your business. You got this. I can hear Anna say, boy, when I was transitioning and I didn't know I was transitioning off this earth, I was trying to process all my anger, my hate, and my pain and my sorrow. And I see that you're doing that. And I get to have conversation with my best friend, Anna. She gets to guide me and all the love bugs who have passed on. My grandmother, I was 4 years old when I talked to my grandmama. I never called her grandmama, but I just did. But I told her how much I cared about food. And it was the beginning of me understanding what my impact is here. It's about bringing food in, about healing our body, about our mindset and our flow to be able to be cohesive with brain and mind so that I could do my impact. Those are my tools. I do it differently than everybody else. Everybody has their way of doing. You have what you do so differently. So if you're a health coach and you want bigger impact in this world and you want to run a show, come and check me out. Let's do some work together. Fresh.